Hello, and welcome to LEGO Lovers with the Warren County Library. My name is Sandy Roberts, and I'm the Makerspace Coordinator for the library. I love Legos. Usually I host LEGO building programs in the Makerspace at the Southwest branch, but since things are a little different this summer, I moved my programs online instead. Now we can all play with Legos together no matter where we are. Each week, I'm featuring the works of LEGO masters and talking about the amazing ways Legos are used for art, engineering, and more. Then you can take part in fun challenges at home. This week, our theme is animation and photography. This is all about you telling a story. We're looking at artists who use Lego and minifigs to create stories, either by photographing them to use in comics or by using them in stop-motion animation. Brick comics, as they're called, are settings built from Legos and minifigs as characters to tell their story. Given how many minifigs there are now, you can get really creative with your visuals and mash up timelines and mash up different characters and create all kinds of new things. There's an enthusiastic community online supporting these webcomics as well, where creators share photography tips and more. Meanwhile, there's stop motion, which has gotten Legos moving in a whole new way and has taken the world by storm. In addition to lots of home animators creating stories, there have been blockbuster big screen movies in theaters featuring Legos as the stars. There are even video games where you can be your favorite Lego superhero. Everything is awesome when it comes to Lego animation. So let's take a look and get some inspiration. Okay, let's learn a little about animation and photography, especially as it comes to Legos. We're going to start first with stop motion animation. But what is stop motion animation? So stop motion is a filmmaking technique. It's actually quite old. We've been making flip books with stop motion animation since Victorian times, and one of the first uses of photography was creating stop motion animations for the mass audience. The idea is simple. You take a picture of your creation, move everything just a little bit, and take another picture. Move everything again, take another picture. Move everything again, take another picture. And you do this over and over and over again. Then when you put all those frames together, it looks like you have movement when you play it back. So the process is a step-by-step process, which means you really have to think about the motion that you want to create and really give it small incremental steps. You don't want a big movement because it won't look natural. So tiny little changes from frame to frame. And that's really the key. So you're going to take all your pictures and then your app is going to stitch them together for you. Many of the apps that you can use have what's called an onion skin, which will show you where your previous picture was, so you can make sure that your movement syncs up just the way you want it. And here's an example of several onion skins layered over one another so that you can check to see, is that movement of the wand quite what I want? Now you'll be able to adjust what we call the frame rate, the speed at which your different pictures are played back. But you want to make sure, again, that there's as small a movement as you're able to do to get as natural an effect. So let's take a look at what this actually looks like. All right, here's when those images are stitched together. Ta-da! Okay. Our first artist today is Morgan Spence. He's now about 20 years old and lives in Scotland, but he started making Lego movies at 14. He was inspired by the movie Wallace and Gromit and thought, I wonder if I could do that myself. Well, he put together a studio in his own bedroom and got started creating Lego videos. He now has his own production company, Morg's Penny Productions, and has made Lego videos for bands, for companies, for movie studios, and more. He got started recreating films that he loved. So he took little clips of movies that he enjoyed, like you can see here's E.T., here's Titanic, and he recreated them using Lego animation. And this is a great way to get started. Take something that you know and recreate it in your media. Let's take a look at some of his work. I'm not going to be able to show all of this because it's, a few minutes long, but you can go to his website, his YouTube channel, which I had up there before, and I'll include in our handout, and you can see the whole video. So let's take a look.
Here are the nominees for Best Film.
Singing in the rain, just singing in the rain. What a glorious feel, and I'm happy again. It was a teenage wedding, and the old folks wished them well.
All right, on to our next artists. David Pickett and David Pagano are actually professional animators, and they're the authors of the Lego animation book. They both loved animating as kids and actually dragged out their parents' video camera so that they could try creating films and movies. But it wasn't until after college that they both found a professional career in animation. In fact, one of the Davids went to school for biology and eventually realized that he just loved animation so much. Both of them chose very early on to use Lego as their medium for animation because they loved playing with Lego so much as kids. So, the book. The Lego animation book, we do have this as part of the library and you can check it out. I highly recommend this book. I own it myself. It shows you step by step exactly what you need to create stop motion animation using Legos. So it's a really, really useful book if you want to borrow that and check it out. Okay, here is actually the animation we were looking at before. This is the step-by-step that they use as an example throughout the book. And you can find more of David Pagano's at Pagomation, that's his production studio, on YouTube. So let's take a quick look.
Let me tell you a story about Anna and Matt.
Ready.
Now, Dave Pickett has a great YouTube site called Brick 101. And he has all kinds of building Lego videos and reviews different kits. So he's got a wealth of information on his channel as well. But here is a short animation he made of different robots that he was planning to use in an upcoming feature. Now, maybe you aren't up to doing filming, but you can still tell your stories with brick comics. So rather than drawing a comic book art or using graphic arts tools, many artists are using Legos to tell their stories. And the techniques are pretty similar. So here is one. This is called Bricks of the Dead, and it's one of the older brick comics out there. This tells the story of a zombie apocalypse, essentially. So if you like kind of scary things, this is really great. And you can see that they set up the cameras the same way. They created their backgrounds, have their minifigs as their characters, and then they just add in little bubbles with all the story or dialogue or other elements that they want to create. So Bricks of the Dead, a lot of fun. And this one has been around a really long time, Foolish Lego. It has now wrapped, but this is the beginning. Again, it's an adventure story, and what I love is that he makes these really elaborate sets for his creations. And again, using that same technique of just overlaying your text onto the photography of your minifigs. So that's a really easy way to use Legos to get started with storytelling. Tips and tricks. All right. This is from the Lego animation book, and they kind of went over some of the basic materials you need. You're going to need some kind of a camera. You know, a smartphone or an iPad will work. If you have a digital camera that you can hook up to a computer, that will work too. You want some kind of lighting, something inexpensive. A lamp that you probably have around the house will work. Even a flashlight will work. Then you're going to need, of course, your base plates so you can attach your pieces. Lots of Legos for building your sets. Some minifigs as your characters. Something to use as a background. You can print out pictures, you can draw them yourself, or just use a blank background like this foam board. And then a bit of masking tape is really helpful to kind of make things stick where they need to stick. You'll also need some kind of an app to stitch your photos together. And if you signed up for the newsletter, I have some suggestions, but you can find free or inexpensive stop motion apps really easily. And if you want to do comics, you can find templates out there that are free that you can put your photos into, or you can draw them yourselves in photo editing software. Most machines these days have that, and there are free apps for that as well. Okay, this is a big one. Now the Foolish Lego website comic book that I showed you before, they have a great blog with lots of tips and tricks for photographing Legos and making Lego comics. And one of the big things that they promote is that you have to plan first. You want to think about what the point of your story is. What are you trying to say? Make a little sketch so you know what scenes you want to capture. Write a script so that you can tell your story effectively. And really plan it out ahead of time so that it comes together nicely. And I know this seems crazy, but taking the time to plan first will save you time when you're actually filming or shooting your comic. I want to share this last video. This is from Morgan when he was actually interviewed by the BBC about 3 years ago. And he has some great tips for those that might want to get started.
Generally, I would say for a minute of film, it could take up to about 2 weeks to produce. You can really think it through and invest a lot of time and effort and thought into it. You can bring it to life and you can create something magical. It's always really rewarding at the end when you see that I've spent all this time, but it has paid off. My name is Morgan Spence. I am 17 years old and I'm a stop motion animator who works with Lego. The magical things about stop motion is anyone can do it. So whether it be with a smartphone or a webcam or just a basic digital camera, it's so accessible these days, all thanks to the technology available. Nick Park would be one of my main inspirations. His work on Wallace and Gromit was just absolutely mind-blowing. I thought that, wow, if they can make a feature-length film all in stop motion, I can certainly try this at home in my bedroom. I'd looked online on sites like YouTube. They had a lot of tutorials and beginner guides as to how to start animating. That was a real push for me, and I knew that I could do that just from watching other people's work. That was one of the things that really surprised me, because I thought this was a technique that only these big, huge production companies like Aardman could produce, but actually other people my age were doing so as well, and were being relatively successful at it. And it's one of these things that the more you work at it, the better you get. Practice makes perfect, and a lot of the work I do doesn't even make a final cut, but you just realise, okay, that works, that maybe doesn't work. It's all about experimenting and trying new things.
All right, So I hope that provided some inspiration for you. Now let's talk about your challenge. Wow, I am blown away by all that amazing animation and photography. But now it's your turn. What story do you want to tell? It's okay to start simple and make a short animation or comic first. As Morgan said, practice makes perfect. So don't be afraid to experiment and build your skills. It's your story, so have fun. Whatever you create, be sure to share it. We'd love to see your work. You can share your creations using the hashtag #WarrenLib so that we can see the amazing things that you make. And perhaps, with your parents' permission, you can start your own YouTube channel to feature your videos or a blog to feature your comics. Remember, if you registered for LEGO Lovers with an email, you will be invited to a special online classroom where you can share your work and see the work of others. Plus, I'll send you a newsletter filled with other fun things that you can do. Didn't register? Send me an email at sroberts@warrenlib.org and I'll make sure you get an invite. If you don't want to be a part of the classroom, that's okay too. All right. Be sure to check our website at warrenlib.org for lots of great online events and our other awesome summer reading programs. Though we can't be together in the library quite yet, we can still create and learn together. Okay, that's it for the week. I'm Sandy Roberts for the Warren County Library System, and I'm so glad that you stopped by. Be sure to invite your friends to join us online so we can build together. See you next week for more LEGO fun!